Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. It's Scott Ferguson. Thank you so much for tuning in. I actually did this interview kind of as a one-off. A really good friend of mine, Olivia Atkin, carved time to kind of come in and drop some serious knowledge. And I guess she's an author, rock star speaker, and somebody that for her age, she's a little younger, but I immensely respect. She's humble, yet she's hungry. Her observation and being able to learn as she goes, but also help you level up is just above reproach. And trust me, if you're a business owner, you'll want me to make a warm introduction to Olivia, or just sit back, relax, and kind of take notes. And if you like it, please smash that like button or maybe subscribe. My sponsors and affiliates absolutely love that. And thank you so much also for considering to donate to the Suicide Life Prevention Hotline. We've raised over $100,000 for them, and it's just been a fantastic journey. And without further ado, here's my really good friend, Olivia Atkin from Achieving Success. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I'm actually doing this interview on a Monday, which generally I do them on Thursdays, and I'm doing it for my really awesome sauce friend, business partner, fun size, kick-ass Olivia Atkin. She's a dynamic force from Arkansas, and she's now a uber successful entrepreneur based in New Jersey, armed with a bachelor's degree in business management, a minor in sports studies. She continued to push boundaries, earning an MBA, so she's a smarty pants, peeps, with a specialization in supply chain. Olivia's expertise is showcased through diverse certifications. I'm not even going to read off all the acronyms in there. They'll all be in her show notes. But she has authored a freaking kick-ass book, Achieving Success in Career Development. And also her speech that she gives, her TEDx speech about you taking responsibility for yourself. I'll have a link to that in the show notes as well. So people, you got to go there. But stay here now because I will have a book giveaway at the end that she will personally sign for you. And I'm so stoked to bring on my really good friend, Olivia. Olivia, please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is purple and then blue.
Okay.
And ironically enough, those are my two favorite colors. And I somehow, without thinking, integrated them into my business colors. So I get to see purple and blue now literally every day.
Yeah, and purple is kind of a blue and red, which I know you a little bit. We're not like super close, but I know you a little bit. And like you probably have that side where blue is kind of chill and kind of going, but when red needs to show up, it does. I can see it with your beautiful red hair too. And along with you have like it's royal and regal, right? So it's like fits you perfectly. So let's get to the roots of you, Olivia. I mean, I know about you. We've connected a few times and I respect you immensely, but let the squad out there know a little bit about the roots of where you came from.
So for me, I think kind of what you just said plays a role in everything of like showing up when you need to show up in the way you need to show up. So for me, my roots really come from the fact and my mindset in business from being an athlete when I was really young. I was a professional swimmer. I swam professionally training for the Junior Olympics until I was 9 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and when I was 9, I was actually diagnosed with a rare form of epilepsy, which is the most common neurological disease that is out there, but something people know the least about.
Yeah, that's scary. Did you ever have a seizure in the pool?
I did. The very first time I was swimming and had a seizure, it was in the pool after diagnosed, and it really changed the trajectory of swimming for me. Within months, I was done swimming. I really changed my mindset too, because again, like I said, mine was a rare form. So I started off with my seizures having grand mal, and that's what you see typically of like what television shows and movies portray,
the foaming
right?
And all that stuff, right? Yeah.
The foaming, the shaking. If you have a glass in your hand, I could shatter it.
Yeah.
Like I break it.
Yeah.
And then it went on to more of the acute seizures, staring events, things like that, to a point where I didn't have them anymore. But when I was diagnosed, they were going from, and when they started, they could range like 10, 20 seconds, and they just kept increasing the frequency in them.
Right.
So after a few months and medication not working, it turned to the doctor saying to me and my parents in a room one day, listen, none of the medication we're trying is working. It could, within the next year, she could potentially not be able to be in a normal classroom, not know where she can go long-term education-wise, could really need some help. And if any of your listeners have followed Tristan Thompson's story with Khloe Kardashian, his younger brother has epilepsy, and he has one of the more severe kinds. But like, that was what they were projecting happening for me. And it was a moment of like, do I stand up and fight, or do I let what they're saying is going to be my reality be my reality? And I was like, no, I know I could take this challenge on, and it's time to show up in the way I need to show up and really drive that. And ever since then, everything I've done is, whether you think it's going to be done correctly, or I should be doing this, or I should have the space in the room, watch me show up and watch me conquer it.
Show out. Yeah. Showing up and showing out. That's beautiful. So as you moved in through life, being competitive, and I actually I was in a kitchen one time when somebody was having a grand mal, and they were like, I'm like, what the hell? All I could think of is biting their tongue off, right? So I literally grabbed like a wooden spoon, or at least I thought it was wooden. It was actually plastic, and shoved it in his mouth. And it did save him from, he swallowed half the spoon. And we joke about it to this day. But it's awesome that you took these lessons that you've learned. What you think is real is your reality, and you changed your reality to what you want. And so now you're working with companies and individuals, correct? To have them level up their lives, knowing that there's boundaries, there's past experiences and stuff, and like move forward, correct? Tell us a little bit about what you do now.
Yeah, that's very accurate. I work with individuals and companies on team development, professional development, communication. I think that's really a big thing, is understanding we all have that story. We all have things that play into our perspective today, and we all might not be able to communicate them freely, right? We might not all feel safe enough to say today the traumas or the experiences we've had in the past, but it does play a role in all of our actions. So figuring out a way to, when companies come together and have individuals of different backgrounds, different perspectives, how to work together, how to build that relationship of trust, even when some individuals might not be comfortable sharing every nitty gritty of what's going on in their past, or even today outside of work.
Yeah.
And even working with individuals on understanding, okay, what are your career goals? What are things that you want to set up yourself now for success, or get out of your own way with, that could help you long term?
Love it. So do you gotta ask you this, like, you ever get pushback because of your age?
Oh, 100%.
How do you handle that objection?
So for me, there's two folds of it. I've always gotten it because of my age, and sometimes because I'm a female. I worked in professional sports, and when I entered that field, I was the youngest person to intern at the New York Football Giants. That's where I started.
That's baller. That's badass.
Yeah. And I was the same age, if not younger, than the rookies coming in. So there was already that, okay, she's a female and she's the same age as the guys. So when outsiders looked at it, it was the common misconception. So who did you sleep with to get this role? How are you doing this at this age? But what I do is I always show up, right? You can say what you want to say about me, but my work is going to speak the volumes, and my experience is going to speak the volumes. And one thing I had recently, about 6 months ago, was I was on a Zoom conference call, and I'm a president of the ASCM New Haven chapter, and I sit on their international board. For anybody who doesn't know that, that's the Association for Supply Chain Management, the overbodying board for supply chain.
Sure.
And I am the youngest by many years of presidents. There's at least a 20-year age gap between me and the next youngest president for all the state chapters. And so I was on this call and another chapter president was telling me how things should be done and that I wasn't doing it and that people weren't going to perceive it. Now, I'm listening to this and it's not in a healthy communicative way. And I'm trying to express that. And he's just saying, you really don't know what you're talking about because you've only been here a few years and you're younger. And I've been in this industry and have been this president for this board for 15 years.
Sure.
I know what I'm talking about. I know what our members want. And I said, but that's why your chapter is currently failing. Is because instead of thinking, okay, what is in industry-wise changing? What is people's needs today? You're saying this is what they wanted. This is what we've been doing for 15 years, so it works.
Right.
When in reality, you have to keep pushing the boundaries to some extent to see what people are doing now. Our world is ever changing every day.
Evolving, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's always changing. And I looked at him and I said, it might be due to my age, but it might be due to me actually listening to people.
Yeah.
And that's why I have the seat at the table. And I said to him, understand one thing. At my age, not only am I the president of the state board, but I'm the youngest person who sits on their committee for the international board.
Yeah.
So obviously I have the experience, I have the knowledge base to sit on these positions and run and help run these organizations.
And you have a different perspective because of your age. I look at that, and I have a girl that's on my team. I'm 52 and she's 21, and she comes in. I actually listen to her. Sometimes I got to take her down behind closed doors and just be like, simmer down now on some things. But I love her because she brings that fresh perspective. And speaking of that, so when you're maybe working with a company and you're kind of maybe in that one-on-one with one of the hierarchy, whether it's a CEO, they're bringing you in, right? And you're in that kind of time where you're discovering if you're the right horse for the course. Is there any secret sauce that you have, if you don't mind sharing, that maybe helps them identify that initial blind spot that they're working against?
Yeah, so what I do across the board, whenever I'm talking, whether it's one-on-one consulting or coming in for a big organization, is I'm going to take the time to sit back and listen and watch. I think that is important because one thing, you're bringing me in because of my expertise, but I don't know the ins and outs of your business. I don't know what's happening behind closed doors. When I come into an organization, for example, when I worked at Lockheed Martin, I came in with experience that many of my colleagues did not have. And the very first thing they asked me on day one is, after seeing all the tasks you have, what would you change? And I looked at management and I said, I'm not changing anything today. Come back to me in 2 months. Let me learn the processes. Let me learn the chain of command, the communication, all these things. Then I'll tell you my thoughts on where we can integrate change.
Love it.
The very similar thing happens when I go into an organization and someone's communicating to me.
Okay.
It's let me see what you're doing for a week. Let me see the communication. Let me see the tasks. Sometimes it's shorter.
Sure.
Let me listen to what you're saying and seeing how what you're saying to me transcends into all your departments and your goals. And then once I see the process, let me formulate the ideas and change. Because there could be things that I can look at and go, wow, that really needs to change.
Right.
But there's a madness behind it that makes it work that I'm just not transparent about beforehand. So I think it's really important whenever you go into an organization and industry to understand that even though you're brought in as an expert or you're brought in to help elevate the company goals in some way or the team's goals, you still have to see how all the dynamics and all the pieces work together.
Love it. And it's true. You have to observe and listen to respond and not react. And that's and to understand. That's beautiful. That's so mature, man. That's why I immensely respect you. So is there any good question maybe during that discovery period that you wish they would ask you but never do?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think for me, it's really as we go along, a lot of times people don't ask the right questions, meaning, okay, I'll throw this example out here. This is the platform we use to communicate internally within the team.
Right.
You think there's a better platform based on these goals where we could get the task done sooner, or people will know the correct information that could update in real time. It's about knowing yourself where you'd like to see the difference,
Right.
what you're having right now. And that's something when I go in to an organization or a team, I always make sure I ask, because if I don't know your landmark goals, how can I effectively help you?
I love that you said landmark goals, because that's very important in any company. And if you were to come in, and who knows, one day you might help consult my company, but I would ask, how are you going to handle this employee of mine that was going to work against you? So like, how do you, like, you come in, the CEO or the COO brings you in, they're like, listen, this Olivia, she's see past her biological age, okay? But you're going to get pushback, okay? Bottom line, you're going to get pushback. If you say you don't, you're lying. So, but like, how do you handle that person, Olivia, that is, they're not against growth, but they're not buying into bringing this woman, this 20-something-year-old into us? How do you get them on your side?
For me, it's actually building a relationship with them. A lot of people are scared to change out of fear. How's this going to affect my role? How am I going to be able to learn this new skill? Am I going to be able to perform well? That's really where a lot of the pushback stems from. Or does she really know what she's talking about, right? Those kind of things. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. How is she going to now tell me what to do?
Sure.
And so for me, it's actually spending the time to sit down with those individuals and ask for their feedback.
Sure.
Talk to them as, yeah, you are the expert. You're the one in this role every single day, seeing the nuts and bolts of how things are operating. What do you wish to change? If you had that magic Disney wand,
That's strong, dude.
what would you like to see? What are you feeling in this role that you might not feel comfortable telling someone else, but I can advocate for you? So it's also understanding.
That's strong, dude. That's so good.
It's understanding that the person, if you're brought in by the CEO or team lead, yeah, you're working with them, not for them. You're working side by side, but you're also working alongside the individuals whose role it is every day.
Yeah.
Person who's in that mud doing it. So how can you become allies and see that way? And it really stems from communicating.
I love that you show up as an advocate for them, that you're asking them what they, would like to see changed. And that's super mature. That's just amazing. That's what my consultant will do as well with my employees. So that's exactly kind of what I wanted to hear. That's beautiful. So I know you're young, but have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes.
Okay, let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly, right? Let's go back to, say, the 15-year-old, the young lady. Let's go back to that Olivia. What knowledge nuggets would you drop on her? Not so much to change anything, okay? Because your experiences are pretty awesome, but maybe to even help shorten the learning curve even more, to make her blast through a little faster. What would you share with her?
I would share that I know I've done a lot of things in a short amount of time, and my career year-wise isn't as long as other people's runways, but coming out in industries, starting out in industries, I should say, at going into very high productive, right? Professional sports, working with professional athletes, supply chain. I felt like I needed to really have my voice heard. And having my voice heard wasn't always what was needed in that time. And as I grew and as my experiences changed, I realized that, like most things in life, your voice can be heard without being loud or pushing and pushing and pushing someone to hear you, right? It's, again, going back to what I said earlier, it's showing up in the way someone needs you to show up in that moment. So now I make my voice heard whether I'm the quietest person in the room, right? I'll wait for the question to come up, or I will counter with a question.
Sure.
That means sometimes, whether it's personally or professionally, my voice will be heard, but I'm not going to have a sailor mouth. I am a big person. I joke it's due to the years in the locker room that will drop curse words and not, not think anything of it.
Yeah.
But when I need to be heard in certain environments, I don't raise my voice. I pick my words very closely.
You have
and I
to
make sure I do not curse at all, which is very changes versus like if we just met for drinks somewhere.
Sure.
I
Absolutely.
drop them all the time, but it's how does my voice need to be heard, and how do I need it to be heard on behalf of other people? I think a lot of times I'm not scared to tell you what's on my mind. I'm not scared to show up and advocate and hold the mirror up real fast.
Sure.
Because I think sometimes we all forget that actions do speak louder than words, and there needs to be accountability at
Absolutely.
times.
Love that.
Whether there's personally or professionally. And when someone needs that, oh, trust me, I'm the one that'll be the first one to stand up and go, wait a moment.
Right.
But I think it's understanding how my voice needs to be utilized and leveraged in that moment to help have the best outcome at the end of the day.
Love it. That's light years ahead what you would think, and being able to have people, your 15-year-old, kind of slow down and really see that and know that your voice can be heard without pushing. That's amazing. So how does Olivia want her dash remembered then? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date on your tombstone. Hopefully it's way freaking down the line. But like, how does Olivia want her dash remembered?
For me, where I am now is as long as I've made an impact. So I have made an impact on people's lives. I've made an impact on people's businesses, challenging their way of thought. For me, it's making that positive impact in people, whether it's the small moments or the big moments. And a lot of the times I don't need to know what they are. You don't have to come to me. You don't have to tell me. I'm good without knowing it. As long as I know that little act of kindness I've done in the day, checking in on someone.
Yeah.
Even if they don't always check in on you, but showing up and saying, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. I just want to see how everything's going. You never know the difference that could make with someone.
That's beautiful, man. That's amazing. So what then is Olivia's definition of a life well lived?
For me, it's being able to mix impact with memories. And
Impact with memories. Okay, go deeper.
So for me, it's being able to show up professionally and making those positive impacts, challenging people's thoughts, changing what the norm is, right? That is one of the big things I do with my podcast is let's really pull back the curtain on what success means and looks like. Let's get real and raw with that journey.
Right.
And so it could be things like that. When it comes to the memories, let's also be present, whether that's professionally and not what we can't all help it. But when 1,000 things are going on, make sure you're appreciating that journey, the hard times and the glory times. You're there, you're seeing it, you're acknowledging certain things.
Love that.
But
beautiful.
Also personally, right? So as business owners, right? You're a business owner, I'm a business owner. There's probably lots of business owners listening to this right now. It's also, or high performers, let me say that. High performers do the same exact thing. When you're on vacation, not answering your phone every time it goes off, picking up every call, stepping away from those moments, because those moments, whether it's a conversation you get to have with someone or it's going, hey, I have to take this phone call instead of having this cool 20-minute experience.
Right.
The 20-minute experience, show up for that, have that memory, not just for yourself, but for the people around you who want to be around you, who want to experience that with you. Because at the end of the day, when you lay your head down on the pillow at the end of the month, at the end of the year, the experiences just as much challenge your thinking and help your growth
Absolutely.
as all
100%.
phone calls, all that. And you need to be able to recharge your battery, to have fun.
Shut it down. Yeah. Rejuve and bring it back. And squad, this is just awesome. I'm blown away by your maturity for one, but also just your knowledge. It's just amazing. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back. And Olivia, like we've met before briefly, whatnot, but we'll meet again and kind of talk about some of these questions at length, 15, 20 minutes, some of them. But today you got 5 seconds with no explanations. They can all be answered that way. You ready to level up?
Yes, let's go.
Here we go. Olivia, what is the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
Show up.
Yeah, I love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Planning and writing down every task I have to do. Keeps me super organized.
Love it. Love it. You're like my sister from another mister. I do the same thing. Awesome. So other than your book, Achieving Success and Career Development, is there another book that really, like if you saw me and I was in my doldrums, you'd be like, man, I'm going to hand Fergie this book. What book really changed your mindset?
For me, it's actually a comic book and that Zappos wrote, the shoe company, and they did it to demonstrate the journey an entrepreneur can take. And I forget the exact name right now, but it's a comic book by Zappos, and if you Google it, you can definitely.
Got it. Love it. Most commonly, I'm sorry?
No, continue to go.
Okay. Sorry. Most commonly used emoji when you text.
The heart emoji.
Love it. Nicknames growing up?
Liv and O.
Liv and O. Do you have any hidden talent and or superpowers that you have that nobody knows about well until now?
I think a lot of people forget or are not aware that not only did I swim
5 seconds, let's go.
Professionally, but I dove professionally and hold the state title.
Beautiful. Chess, checkers, or Monopoly?
Checkers.
Me too. Headline for your life?
Showing up and achieving your success.
Love it. Any superstitions you buy into?
No.
Go-to ice cream flavor?
Chocolate.
Right. There's a sandwich called the Live-O. What's on that sandwich? Build it for me.
Lettuce, tomatoes, cheese, honey mustard, and some boar's head chicken.
Ooh, sounds awesome. Favorite charity or organization you'd like to give your time and or money to?
I currently do that with Kappa Alpha Thetas, also CASA, which is a part of Kappa Alpha Theta, and the Epilepsy Foundation.
Thank you for doing that. It's beautiful. So, and Daddy, put those in the show notes. Okay, awesome. Last question. You can elaborate on this one a little bit about the best decade of music, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or for you, 2000s?
90s.
90s. Awesome. Beautiful.
I love, and it's probably going to go back, but I'm a big Tupac, big Usher, love Usher. All of them.
Beautiful. Love it. So how can we find you, Olivia?
You can email me at olivia.atkin@achieving-success.com. You can find me on my website, achieving-success.com, LinkedIn by searching Olivia Atkin. The Achieving Success has social medias on LinkedIn and Instagram, and you can find us everywhere. And I personally answer every message. So
yeah, you do, and that's very impressive. So you wrote this book in July. You dropped it in July of 2022, Achieving Success in Career Development. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I was actually approached by a publishing company who had seen my vast background working in different professions and having a degree or certification in every business area and teaching career development at a university at a time. And they were like, we're looking for someone to write a career development book. We've heard you talk. We've heard you connect with people and challenge their thinking. Is this something you would want to do? And I never thought I'd be an author, but I was like, you know what, let me listen. Let me see what this could be. And I brought 2 things to the table. One, I was going to have to write it the way I wanted to write it, lay it out. And 2, it had to be very cost effective for 2 reasons. I wanted the individual who couldn't afford to go to college, might not be able to afford that expensive book, to be able to walk into their local bookstore or the college university bookstore, and for less than $50 be able to pick up a resource where they can take everything from the book and actually apply it and do it themselves.
Right.
And they agreed to that. So the electric copy is $15 and the hard copy is $30.
Yeah.
And it covers everything from resumes and cover letters with templates so you can plug and chug Mad Lib style.
Okay.
Different professional organizations that are out there, the importance of continuous education, the how to prep for your job interview, how to think about certain things. And there's 14 chapters, and the largest chapter is 10 pages, and it covers all those things. And whether you're in college taking a career development class and they're using it as that workbook, or you're 10, 15 years into your career and you're going, I want to pivot my projection, I want to apply for a new role, you can take it off the shelf and go to the exact chapter you need and be able to read and plug and chug the way you need.
So awesome. They can implement what is in there and take action on it. That's phenomenal. And squad, I'm going to do a book giveaway for the first person that puts in any of our social, or even, I don't care if it's Pinterest, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. This will be everywhere as it usually is. But also you can email it to us, which the email is in the show notes, or call us, drop us a line, a text 561-440-3830, and just put in fun size. Whoever puts that word in there, I will personally purchase a book from Olivia, and I'm going to have her sign it. And if you can mail it out to them, that'd be great. I'll take care of the postage, but that'd be great. Is that possible, Olivia?
Of course.
Yay! That's awesome. So, Olivia, do me one last solid, please, and leave us with one last knowledge nugget that we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
My last nugget I'm going to leave you is give yourself grace while giving others grace. And that is because when we're all in the thick of it, we sometimes forget that we need time to breathe. We need to give ourselves grace in maybe not accomplishing that goal we set at a certain time mark, maybe not getting everything done in a day, being overwhelmed. Give yourself grace on how you would want others to give you grace in the way you're showing up, and understand that tomorrow's a new day. You can show up differently tomorrow, but also remember that when you give yourself grace, you also need to give others around you the same
courtesy. Love that. And squad, we just had a super fun size conversation with my really good friend Olivia Atkin. Someone, again, I immensely respect. It reminds you to show up when you need to show up. I mean, she dealt with a rare seizure disease that really changed the trajectory of her life, but it didn't let her wreck her mindset. She's a big believer in what you think is real is your reality. So if you can think your way through and produce those outcomes, then absolutely do that. Because if Olivia can do it, I'm sure that you can too. We all have things that we play into perspective, she reminded us. And she works with companies with different backgrounds and perspectives and helps them mold into a fine-tuned oiled machine. And Olivia, she says what she kind of wants, but her results speak volumes. She's a big believer in really listening and observing, and really, I call it listening with your neck, really leaning in. That's the way that she really builds relationships with their companies, because they know that she cares about them. She reminds us that your voice can be heard without pushing, without being loud. And I see Olivia out there doing things for the intention, not the attention. She's not out there leaning against. She worked with professional athletes, squad, but she's not out there like throwing up a bunch of pictures with them or leaning against Lambo. She's doing the work and getting results for companies. She's making an impact through all the moments, whether they're big or small. I mean, Olivia's literally planting trees she's never going to sit in the shade of. And she wants to mix impact with her memories and really be present. So also show up. And most importantly, which I say this to my clients, is, give yourself grace and space. And if you're going through something, grace and space is key, but also there's other people out there that might be affected by what you're going through, or even if they're not, give them the grace and space as well. And that's what my good friend Olivia does. She levels up her health. She levels up her wealth. She's humble. Yes, she's hungry. She's stunning. She's earned a varsity letter here. It's Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on, Olivia. Absolutely love your guts.
Thank you so much for having me.
Chat soon.